welcome to Bridging of Ages. My name is Dan Mendelevitz. Today we're going to be talking about building a culture of respect and empathy. A little later on, we're going to have a guest, Barbara Beckley, CEO of the Diamond Factor Network, and she has an extensive, experience in the insurance industry and working and leading intergenerational teams. We're going to talk a bit today about creating opportunities for cross-generational learning and how to work with intergenerational conflict, how to have curiosity about what the other people are doing and wanting, and some real practical steps about really shaping an intergenerational culture. What's really important is to have that kind of empathy and curiosity about people of different ages and different experiences. And what you will find is if you have that curiosity and you want to learn and you're willing and open and can listen, you too can build a real culture of respect and empathy. So very important that we think a little bit beyond ourselves and not just our own experience. Because of course we have a lot to give, but we also have a lot to learn. And that is the beauty and power of intergenerational teams. And today we'll be talking with our guest about how to really build it, what works, what hasn't been working, and some of the ideas that you can take away in order to make that work for you. So to get, to think about where and how you can start, how you can continue, to look at what you have on the ground now, I think is really important. But don't forget that curiosity. Don't lose that curiosity. If you remember when you were little, we all had that curiosity. We wanted to learn about the world. And sometimes we lose that as adults. And go back sometimes to that childlike curiosity and go, how can this be done different? How does somebody else look at it? Because as we found in our other discussions, what we say is not always what comes across. And because of the wealth of our experience, we think and absorb information a little differently. So it's really important that we can find a way to enhance those communications, build on the talents of the entire team, and fit it together so it can work together. And I think you'll find this in your organizations and your work, that as we have talked about in other episodes, intergenerational teams are the strongest kind of team. The most fulfilling way to build your teams. So let's take a look at your curiosity, at your empathy. And after a word from our sponsor, we'll have an opportunity to talk with Barbara and delve more into this topic. back to Bridging of Ages. Welcome, Barbara.
Thank you so much, Dan. I love your show. I
Thank
love
you. I appreciate you coming on and having an opportunity to give us some of your insight. Um, yeah, I wanted to ask you, as a leader, what are some of the practical steps that you have found have worked for shaping your intergenerational culture?
I always tell myself, and I always tell myself, Dan. Well, first of all, before I even start answering that question, again, I just want to thank you for creating this show. It's very important, especially now. Bridget of Ages is something that, and I love that you're not just looking at the older people, but you're also looking at the overall culture of everybody and making sure that we're kind of coming together to bridge, like you said. So thank you for creating that, and thank you for having a passion for that, because I just want to take my hats off to you, because it's needed. It's needed right now. So with that, I always believe that I always have to go back in time. I take a time machine when it's talking about, making sure that I was once 20. I was once 10. I was once 30, right? Maybe a little bit different because it was like in the 80s, 70s. Okay. But still, I was a younger age before. And I have to understand that I have to have empathy, because back then people had empathy for me. Most people. But I always take myself back, and then I take it into that now when I'm leading and guiding and looking at the group of people the teams that I really work with all different ages. Because I noticed this the other day. I was just noticing, because like you said, during the day, I've been in the insurance world for over 40 years now. And I noticed that it's changed, where my managers used to be always older than me. Well, now my manager, and it just switched before my manager switched, because we had another switch just recently. She was younger than me, so I'm 50. I don't mind telling the age, because this is the show for that. I'm 50, going to be 58 years old next year. Well, my manager was 39, and I noticed that she started calling me elder, and she started coming to me with questions sometimes. And first I got a little bit of hesitant on, okay, do you have to do the elder thing? Do we really got to do Elder Barbara right now? I don't. I was like, really? And then somebody, I told my cousins, and because it was really I was dealing with that a little bit, Dan. And then my cousin said, Barb, that's an honor. If she's calling you that, and then she's coming to you too, and she's 39 years old, because most people that are like younger, sometimes they don't want to hear it from us, you being old. They'd be like, okay, whatever, we're going to do whatever. But she's coming to you asking for advice, because she sees something in you that's going to help her and help her build what she's trying to do as a manager. So when that hit my head, and I was, like I said, sometimes people teach you, people remind you. I was like, oh, okay. So from that point, Dan, I respect it now, and I honor that. And now, like I said, went back, and I started thinking about when I was younger, how things, I was thinking. And then now looking at the age group, and hopefully I'm showing that empathy now. I'm understanding. I'm trying to understand them more. I'm trying to put myself in their shoes. Yeah.
That's great. It's interesting that, you talked about, people kind of rail sometimes at being called an elder, but elderhood is really recognized by other people before we recognize it in ourselves. Mm-hmm. And elders have always been, over time, the ones who carry the knowledge. And it's wonderful that, your manager has this curiosity and wants to come to you and ask how to, do things, because we all know we can't substitute for experience. But what I love about what you said is that you also think about the beginner's mind, the person who's just starting out, and how it was You didn't even know the questions to ask, much less, how to get answers from other people. And that's a wonderful piece. You really honed in on that intergenerational communication, thinking, trying to help and have the empathy and the curiosity of how people of different ages and different experiences have an opportunity to learn about each other. So coming what comes with this empathy and things growing and things working well is also some conflict. And I'm sure, and I'm curious how, and that comes back to curiosity, obviously, which I like talking about. um, how do you integrate your curiosity and also deal with the conflict that sometimes comes because the language can be different, the experience can be different, and as you said, some don't even want to learn. And it's vital, especially in a workplace, that a team learns to work together. So I'm curious of some of the things that you've come across, to handle some of those conflicts.
You know, just like in a relationship, and I had to go back and ask myself, okay, first of all, communication is the key. I always say that. I always yell that out, especially when I see a conflict brewing or something it's not, I can feel that tension or whatever. And I'm like, communication is the key. And they look at me like, okay, some people be like, oh, here she go. Or some people like, okay, you're right, Barbara. So I got but then I understand. See, this goes back to understanding the people that you're working with. And I took a step from relationships. So you hear like you hear like you need to know the love language of your partner or your friend or your husband or wife, right? People say you need to learn the different love languages. Same as it in a team. You have to understand how each person what their language is, what their love language. Some people like to be seen. Some people, just they don't want to be seen, but they're the background. It's like, okay, I'm okay with the background, but you have to put me in front. Some people like to talk. They like to hear themselves talk. So you have to understand. If I understand how each person acts and reacts, then when the conflict hits, then I know how to basically go towards that conflict and deal with it. So just saying, for instance, I have one team member. She likes to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And almost to the point where I was like, okay, is that me? I asked myself that one time. I said, am I like her? And then I was like, okay, why does she like to talk? So I had a one-on-one conversation with her. Come to find out, no one really let her do that when she was growing up. She felt like, okay, now that I'm older now, a little bit older because she's just 30. I always call them babies. They keep saying, no, I'm not. I'm like, yes, you are. In my mind, you're a baby. But she said, I never had that, so now what I do is when certain things, if we're doing certain projects or if we're looking at things or researching whatever, I always have her as a mouthpiece because she likes to talk. And I'm like, okay, use your gift. We're going to use what you like to do in a positive manner instead of people keep saying, she just talks all the time. Because I hear people in the background saying that I'm getting tired of her talking. And, that's where the conflict and stuff goes. But then now I use her positive, her what people think negative for good. And that kind of toned down some of that. Yeah. So you gotta learn people's love language. And then that helps with the conflicts that come.
That's great. And, we've talked about that in previous episodes about really learning how the other person communicates and what their best way. I really like how you took something that could have been seen as a liability and you turned it around and utilized it so it was something that she could enhance the group. To be a spokesperson, to be able to go out there and talk for the group and help communicate, as opposed to being known as the person who just never stops talking. That's beautiful. That is really nice how you were able to turn that around. It's a great, and that comes, you were curious. You figured out, what her language was, and found out, and sat down one by one and said, okay, what's happening here? Let me understand better. And as a leader, that is really important. You understood how you could utilize this person best to do the best work, and also build them as in their career. So I really like that. And you ended up handling the conflict beautifully, which is great. And I also wanted to ask you, so we don't always, cross-generational learning doesn't always go so smoothly, and partly because of those communications part. And I'm curious how you've created opportunities for that, through mentoring or whatever else has worked for you.
I always say that we're forever learning, no matter what age we are. And I always have to remind myself of that. Even recently, I had to remind myself of that. Because, us getting older, sometimes we look at things and we're like, really? I don't want to deal with that. Or really, we're talking about, and then because we're in our minds, I'm saying for myself, I'm going to talk for myself, being, going towards my 60s in a little while, that my patience sometimes gets short now. It does. I'm just going to let's just be open and honest here. And that's one good thing. That's the communication too. Sometimes my patience is just like that. And I'm going to use an example where, back to the job thing and the team thing, people could be talking about the problem all day long. Like this is the problem. Oh my God, this blew up. Oh my God, we did. And I'm sitting there like, okay, we know what the problem is. We found out what the problem is. You analyzed the problem. You researched the problem. Now let's get something so we can fix the problem. Okay. It's good that we found out what it is. Now let's fix it. And that's my whole mentality now. It's like, I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear what the issues are. Good, because we want to learn from that. We want to grow from that. Now that we learn and grow and we're growing, now let's fix the problem at that point. And I feel like we need to take more energy by fixing it more so than just talking about it all the time. And that's where I try to help others in every generation, including me, keep myself, is to understand that, here's the growth part. Yeah, let's research it. Yeah, let's understand the different cultures and stuff like that. But then at that point, let's bring our experience, bring our wealth, and then decide on what needs to be done. Now, this is like in the work field.
Sure.
If it's not the work field, just friends, family, whatever, different generations. I think the biggest thing, and like you said before, that you always talk about, Dan, is active listening. That to me is a vital thing for everyone, is that we have to active listen. And once you do that, you can kind of really hear what that other person's saying and take it in. Now, just real quickly, because of time, with active listening, I just want to remind people, you listen and you take a little breather. You don't listen and wait till you have to say something. You know how some people be like, okay, I want Barbara to be quiet now so I can say what I have to say. No, I need you to take in what Barbara said first, think on it, and then, say what you have to say, because you might miss out on something because you were so busy thinking about what you wanted to say that you missed out on something what the other person was saying. So I think that's where we have to clear that a little bit more. And then we really understand the person better, because we might miss something because we're so busy thinking about what we want to say or what we want to do.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah. And you really hit it, teaching active listening to your team is really a wonderful way to create opportunities for that cross-generational communication, and to help them understand each other and to really listen to what the other person has to say. I love that. And, I have brought that forward myself. And I can tell you from personal experience, it's not always easy, because I have things to say too. And I don't always, do that active listening, but I work hard every day to do that. And one of the things that I enjoy is, you mentioned trying to get the problem solved. one of the things that I like to do with my teams is tell them, I'm okay with you coming to me with a problem. Matter of fact, don't hide it. I want to know if there's a problem. But I also want you to think about a solution before you come to me. It may not be the one we're going to use, but it's important that we start to think about how to solve it. And then we're not just complainers, because that's easy to do. It's easy to go, this is the way we've always done it. This is not working. The folks over there are keeping us from our work. But if we come up, because I think ideally I love having teams that are problem solvers. And I like to encourage it. But I want everybody at every experience level to be part of that. And it sounds like you are working through ways in order to enable your team to do those kind of things. Yeah. And I think that's really important for us to think about when we're talking about respect and empathy. You gave us some examples of how you respect the people, you have empathy for them, but somebody's paying us to get the work done. So we're here to solve the problem. Yeah. And, you are teaching these folks to listen better and to also how to interact and work together better to solve the problems that you have every day in the workplace or even elsewhere outside of that, an organization you're part of, maybe somewhere where you volunteer, you can give that kind of input. Yeah. We are all stronger with an intergenerational team because we have those varying perspectives. Yes. I can't tell you how many times I've had somebody, much younger than me or somebody older than me who saw something different than I did because of a different experience. Yes. And we were able to solve a problem because of their insight. And if I didn't have respect and empathy for them, I wouldn't be open to that.
You would have missed it. Yeah.
And as leaders, it's really important for us to do that kind of leading and helping them succeed and really connect the dots between those folks. Well, I want to thank you, Barbara, for your insights and all the things that you're able to bring to our audience. Thank you. And after this note from our sponsor, we're going to wrap up today, and I'll be able to give you some ideas that you can go home with.
Thank you, Dan. It's been a pleasure.
Back to Bridge Builder Bits on Bridging of Ages. Today we talk about talent. We walk past the talent every day, and then we turn around and say, we can't find any talent. How are we excluding it? Because of conscious or unconscious bias. We are not looking at talent that is right in front of us. We walk right by it. Whether it could be because they're too young, they're too old, or don't meet that perfect purple squirrel that we're trying to look for. We walk past talent every day. Don't walk past the talent. It's right in front of you. This has been another Bridge Builder Bits on Bridging of Ages. Well, welcome back. And a wonderful discussion with Barbara Beckley. Just wanted to give you a few takeaways for today. So the first one is I want you to create and look for opportunities for learning in your intergenerational team. It's really critical that you can help as a leader to find those opportunities for them to communicate and to work better together. The second one is I want you to think about how you will approach the conflicts in the future. You can look back and see how you've done it. Do you have that curiosity? Do you have that respect? Do you have that empathy? because conflicts will always arise. And sometimes it's a communication between experience levels. Sometimes it's just personalities. But do you have a mechanism in order to do that? It's really important in your work life and organization life and even personal life to think about how the other person is hearing what you have to say. Because then we have, as a group, more of an opportunity to solve problems. And think about it, especially as leaders. What are practical steps for shaping your intergenerational culture? So take the first two action items, the creating opportunities and thinking about how to handle conflict, and integrate them into the third action item, which is really looking for practical steps. Now you're at the how. You really want to figure out how to shape the culture, how to best communicate, and how to work together with all of them. And the tip of the day today is curiosity. Think about that childlike curiosity, because that will serve you well. That will bring you the empathy. That will bring you the respect, because you're curious on how to do this better and how best to work with your people and help them help themselves. So today, our topic was building a culture of respect and empathy. Our next show is going to be on strength in intergenerational workforces. So we're going to build on what we talked about today and in earlier shows and really get into some of this, how we build and strengthen our intergenerational workforces. I want to thank you again for joining us in Bridge of Ages. My name is Dan Mendelevitz. I look forward to seeing you in our next episode.